Hey math kids, today we're going to be in chapter 10, section A, and let's just go over a few definitions real quick. So if we're saying probability of event X equals 0, that's referring to 0%, and this is impossible. So the probability of whatever that event was is impossible. Now if we say P of X equals 1, that's the same as saying 100%, and this is certain. That means it will happen for sure. And then all other will give us something between 0 and 1. Okay. Now, we're going to start by talking about experimental probability. And essentially all it is you take the number of, so flipping a coin, let's say we flipped a coin, we got heads, tails, heads, 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 tails. So if that was our outcome, we would, and let's say we're looking at probability of heads. So what we're interested in, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 heads. So we're going to get 4 out of the total, which is 6. So it's what we want divided by the total. So if we want heads, we get 4 divided by 6, and that would be our probability. And of course you can simplify that to 2/3 if you'd like, or a decimal point 666, or to a percentage, however you want to look at that. Okay, so there is one example in this section, so let's do that. There's a table. So the table below, I'm not going to write out the table. I'm going to ask you to look in your book. So it says the table below shows the number of short-term visitors coming to Australia in the period April to June 2018 and the main reason for their visit. Okay, so A says estimate the probability that a person who visits in June is on holiday. So estimate the probability that a person who visits in June is on holiday. So we want to know June on holiday. Okay. So we have the total number of people who are going to Australia is that, and holiday in June. So we go down to the place where it says holiday, then go over to the column that says June, and if we see where those two intersect, we get 156,500. So the thing we're looking at is this is our total, so we just say 156,500 over 308,300. Go to our calculator. So 156,500 divided by 308,300, and we get 0.508. 508. Sorry, 0.508. Okay. So once again, it said estimate the probability that a person who visits in June is on holiday. So we could say probability June on holiday is approximately 0.508. Okay. Now the next one says estimate the probability that a person who came to Australia in the period April through June 2018 arrived in May. So for that, we're only going to look at the total, the row on the bottom that says total. So once again, our total people visiting Australia, or sorry, not the total people visiting Australia. This is our total for June. So we need to add those three numbers on the bottom together. So our total is going to be 321,500 plus 260,900 plus 308,300. And we'll do that on a calculator. And then we want to know just what percent, or the probability that someone visits in May. And so the total people who visited in May are that number. So go to our calculator. So we get 260,900 divided by 321,500 plus 260,900 plus 308,300. Okay, and that ended up being 0.293. Once again, this would be probability of arrives in May. Okay, now part C. It says Lars arrives in Australia in April, May, or June 2018 to visit his brother. Estimate the probability that he arrives in April. So, probability arrived in April. So we have to take a couple things into account. So the reason he visited, he was visiting his brother. So there's a category that says visiting friends and relatives. So we look there, and then we look at the column that's April, so the first column, and that says 77,500. So that's going to be like what we want. And then we're going to put that over the total number of those visiting friends and relatives. So we're going to have the 77,500 plus 52,700 plus 59,900. Okay, go to our calculator. We're going to say 77,500 divided by 77,500 plus 52,700. Is that what it was? Yeah. Plus 59,900. We do that, and we see that it's 0.408. And so probability that arrived in April for the reason of visiting a relative would be 0.408. If you need additional help, please come to Math Lab. Until then, calculator.